Yeah. So, and then we can just chop it. So this is perfect.
Yeah.
So we're starting something a little new. It's a really good opportunity for Aaron and I to connect. And then also wanted to share like a lot of different information that Aaron like brings every
I don't know if it's
weekend.
just me. I think it's both of us. We just kind of banter back and forth. And yeah, I think it's
So I was like, yo, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of share the banter back and forth because he had some really useful information. I have some quasi useful information. But
I don't know if it's useful at all. And I don't even know like how much of it's, depending on who you talk to, if it's accurate or not.
But we were talking about before we turned this on was I came across this this mindset podcast, and they talked about only having 4,600 weeks in a year.
Right.
And
4,732.
4,732. Yeah. And that's like, when I think about that, I'm just like, man, it's crazy. It seems so little. Particularly pertaining how many weeks I've already used.
Yeah, so I haven't looked at that number because it seemed like I was like, oh, that seems like a lot. I mean,
I'd like to. So, how many weeks were in a year?
52.
52 weeks in a year. 52 weeks times 7. I've already used 1924. So 1,924 weeks.
And you're a little younger than me, so I've used a little bit more.
So
I've partied kind of hard back when I was younger, so I don't know. I feel like I've used even more.
When I look at 1924, right, I'm like, holy crap! Like this is what I've already used. And then how many total are there available?
4,732.
732.
I mean, that's the average lifespan of an American.
What's the age? What was the age?
It just said the average lifespan. So I'm assuming that's somewhere around like 70, between like 72 and 78 years old, right? Because I think that's like the average.
Yeah.
And just depends. And that's like really just depends on where you live and where you grew up and how long you've lived there.
Yeah.
Like I know specifically Nevada, you have a shorter lifespan, I believe, here, just because of.
What do you think that's attributed to?
Oh, 100%. Like alcohol consumption, stress. Yeah. Like the fact that you have just gambling and all sorts of different addiction things that could be at your disposal, but I guess that's anywhere,
Well, not necessarily like in the Midwest, but
true.
Less.
True. It's going to be less. You're not going to really be doing a whole lot. And, forgive me if I'm wrong, but like Arkansas or like Oklahoma, I don't feel like popping, but I never really don't know.
Well, let me see. Let's see if we can share screen here. Let's do this. I'm going to put it over here. And then let's do. Yeah, what's the average age of a person in Nevada? What do you think it is?
I think it's 72. 72. But women live in the United States. Okay.
I'm going to share the screen.
All right. So average lifespan, it says is 77 years old.
77 years old.
So
holy crap. I think honestly over the next couple of years that will increase just across the years. Just out of
I'm going to go by state. Yeah, I want to see by state.
Identify state. I identify state, not by.
Got it. Pretty good. All right.
76.
76. Look at us. I mean, we're better than Ohio. New Mexico? What's going on in New Mexico?
What's the
people getting abducted?
What's the highest?
Yeah. Highest. What state has the longest life expectancy? Of course, it's Hawaii.
Hawaii, because I think every time I met a Hawaiian person, actually, quick story. When I was with 24 Hour Fitness, a buddy of mine transferred into a Hawaii location at 24 Hour Fitness. Great guy. We like started our careers here in Vegas, and he ends up going to Hawaii, and then I go visit him. Totally different person.
Yeah.
The guy was more relaxed.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Late to shit.
Mhm.
Like not by any means though. Like not like being, they're not late because like I'm so like I don't respect your time. Like that's just the vibe.
Yeah.
Like Filipinos get that rap, like, oh, you're on Filipino time, Hawaiian time, very similar. So it's like, and he was so lax. And then instead of sneakers, he was wearing flip flops.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa. I was blown away, man.
When I went to Hawaii, I thought, man, everybody out here is just so cool. Like grocery stores, like everybody, just a different, like you said, a different vibe than here. People being cordial in line at like a grocery store versus like people trying to cut me off to get into a line at a grocery store. And it's interesting. And what I think is interesting is even with that, you're only going to live an extra 4 years, which is a lot, right? If you think about it, that adds, if it's 52 weeks in a year, you add in an extra 4 years on average.
Yeah. Honestly, and then we'll switch, but like, looking at those numbers, man, like 70, 80 years old, it's kind of like, I'm like, oh shit, I got to get my shit together, like, and it was funny. I was talking to a buddy of mine yesterday about like the next 3 to 5 years, like what type of legacy or thing is going to be left in the next, several years after somebody passes away.
Right.
So,
yeah, that's a big thing I think about a lot, having since I've had my daughter, it's like changed everything, like thought process on like exactly what I'm going to be leaving and how I'm going to leave it. And like, how can I set her up for like success, not just giving her everything if, something, God forbid something happens to me earlier. But, just to get back to this, I just wanted to see so looks like West Virginia, you are the loser in this all with the average of 74 years. And is this showing male and versus female right here?
Yep. Women.
Yeah, women just live longer, and it makes sense because they can endure more pain, because they have babies. I feel like that has something to do with it. Like they're just stronger.
Yeah.
They're built different.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Any good finds for you over the past week?
Like things?
Yeah.
So I went down some rabbit like.
Oh shit.
So.
Rabbit holes. Putting backslashes on the Google, so it's like we're going to the intrawebs.
No, I'm not. I don't leave Google. All right.
Do you want to share screen?
Sure.
You just bump it right there.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, you just change the imagery. It's already up.
Oh.
Just change it right there.
Here?
Yeah.
Okay, I see it.
Or the next one, whichever one. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, this works.
That's pretty cool.
But it needs to be.
Just click that. Boom.
See, look at me getting better at things every day.
Look at it.
All right. So Mandela effect. So I was talking to a buddy of mine, and
what is it?
So the Mandela effect is, well, I mean, you could read it right here, but it's basically where you think like, where you're like, oh, hey, like, can I show you? It's hard for me to explain. Can I just show you like what it seems like?
Okay.
It's showing. And I found one yesterday that's better than this page. So give me a second. And we were gonna chop this up anyway. So Mandela effect example, list. Okay. So this is from Good Housekeeping. So,
a credible source.
Yeah. So this shows you stuff like, well, I mean, I can show you a couple different ones, but I mean, whatever you want to say. But
basically, it's like what you thought was.
It's not. It wasn't, right? But like, there's been conspiracies and stuff where people are like, "Yo, I know that." I know Curious George had a tail because I watched in the cartoon where he hung from a tree by his tail. You know what I mean? But they're saying that never happened, right? Or here's a big one: the Monopoly guy.
Curious George doesn't have a tail.
Apparently, he doesn't have a tail. And,
it's a monkey, no?
Right. So they're showing, they show you two pictures side by side, and you're like, yeah, or they'll show you a picture and they say,
yeah,
this is how you remember this, right? Gosh, all these things. Is this how you remember this? And you're like, yeah, that's how I remember that. And they're like, false, wrong. Like, hey, you remember the Monopoly guy? He looked like this, right? And he has the monocle on his eye. And then it's like, wrong, he never had a monocle. And so some people are like, yo, this is just like we went into a different dimension or something. Like CERN kicked on the engine over there in Switzerland. And that's a whole nother video probably because that's, but like then it shot us in a different dimension maybe or something, right? So anyway, so like this, right?
Mm-hmm. This is Jiffy peanut butter.
And they're just saying it's Jif.
I personally thought the original name was Jiffy. And on the label, they just put Jif.
Oh, so
I don't know.
Okay, so we'll just say that. We'll throw it out. Okay, so now Looney Tunes. For whatever reason,
I thought it was this.
I thought it was this too.
With the
two O's, right?
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, it's very sensitive. I got to move that thing, honestly. So yeah, you got Looney Tunes. Like, I remember it to be this, but it could be. All right. So that's not, this one kind of fucks me up, right? So
I've only read this book a couple times, but
like the Bernstein, I always remember it to be Steen, then Stain.
But the Bernstein,
Bernstein, whatever. Like,
yeah, this is so this side, the right is what it is. This is no way. That's no way that the dude didn't have a tail.
But so crazy, like, we looked at.
No way.
So, like, here's one that'll mess you up. All right. So, you ever seen Snow White?
Yo, this one got me, though.
Sex in the City?
It's not, it's Sex and the City?
Bullshit.
I don't think so, man.
Nope.
What?
I remember the Febreze bottle being one on the left. But they're saying it's that one over there. Is that real? I've literally had that bottle.
You thought Febreze. So the spelling.
Okay.
The spelling.
I mean, I haven't looked at a Febreze bottle that much.
This one, I wouldn't know this one either. It's been a while since I.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? OSCAR.
Yeah, I remember that. Skechers. So
it's like the Truman Show, man.
Yeah, bro. So like the one that really messes me up is like, okay, Michael Jackson, right? Mm-hmm. The song Smooth Criminal. The part where he says, you've been
struck by
a smooth criminal, right?
Right.
So I've asked that question to a couple people, like, hey, how's that lyric go? And they always say, you've been
struck by.
Okay. A smooth criminal. Actually, it's you've been hit by a smooth criminal. So then I was like, well, that's not true, right? So I look it up, I listen to it on Spotify, and I was like, and I hear it and it sounds funny. And it is you've been hit by. And I'm like, that's weird. So then I go to YouTube and I'm like, I'm just find another version of this song. That's literally how it goes. But everybody else swears that it was the other way, right?
Yeah.
Pikachu also, he had black on his tail.
I didn't know that.
So these are just,
you know what, man? Like, this reminds me, is this like, this is kind of a tangent too, but like, when this is almost kind of Matrixy, right? Like when all of a sudden the character, right, Aaron Blanco, looks up Mandela effect, and all of a sudden then every other timeline changes. Like then they're like, no, bro, you've been tripping this whole time.
Right.
Like this is the thing that I thought about immediately when you were talking, because I've seen this before, but not to this level. And I'm just like, I think that's kind of like how like life works. Whether this is a simulation or not, but I think that's the way that, like, I think that's the way that life works. Because like when you recognize something, like the things change, like the whole game changes, everything changes.
Okay.
So like you recognizing this is like, oh man,
like that cornucopia, I wouldn't have known it. Like it definitely existed. That's all I'm saying.
The one that gets me is I could have sworn Sinbad had a movie and he was
for sure he did. For sure he did. But I've actually like read things where it was like, yo, like I've read some crazy stuff about like him trying to. There's some stuff that's just like him trying to pull it off because it's just such a shitty movie.
I thought I watched it.
I'm pretty sure I watched it.
I like
because there's Shazam with Shaq, right? You ever seen that movie? Because you're talking about Sinbad,
yes.
Shazam, right?
Shaq, maybe that's what it is.
But no, but there's a definitely Sinbad movie, and that's for sure, and that fucks me up too. And I don't know. So let me ask you this: do you think that we live in a simulation now that that's becoming a thing? Like,
I think it's absolutely entirely possible.
Okay. Do you think that there's a way that like internet can just be like messing with everybody?
I think that's also super duper
also like possibly just being like just for the core reason of making people second guess themselves and deceiving.
Right.
You know, because there's like videos of that, like some leader in Russia, I'd have to pull up the video, but like a long time ago talking about how they were going to deceive, like to change the narrative for like America to make them all not believe certain things and believe in just things that are not necessarily true to kind of wreck our economy. And it would be like that long con, right? And there's videos of it I can show you later. Actually, I didn't want to get into that, but that's a whole different thing. But yeah,
I think it's, dude, I think the internet can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
You know, this one, the double stuff, I think the internet can do a lot of things. I think maybe we live in our own kind of simulation. Yeah. Because it's I was reading. It's funny that this is the way that the thing's going. I've been rereading this book and I shared it with you. It's by T. Hart Ecker. It's called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Right.
I've read it several times and I've been re-listening to it. I don't know if you can see it. No, you cannot see it. And it's interesting because I was going to see when this book was actually published, because there are these kind of cues like on just how what we were talking about. You know, he was like, it is all, everything is internal perception,
right?
Like what you believe within yourself, who you are, what your rules are, what your values are. That is what happens in the exterior world. We basically cultivate our external world internally before it even comes to fruition.
Right.
And like that's what the premise, like the underline of the whole book is, right?
Right.
And it's a nice refreshing reframe because you know, it helps with like, oh, I realize like where I'm at vibrationally. It's been a nice check. Like, right. Oh man, I see. You know. So
no, it makes sense because like the like it's the same thing goes with like the manifestation, you know, manifesting.
Face,
yeah, bro. But like manifesting everything you want. Like there's a lot of truth to that, you know what I mean? And then there's also a lot of like just they teach you in school, write your goals down, right? And then like that's kind of the same thing, right? The same premise of manifesting something that you want. And a lot of these books, they'll tell you, you know, you can get what you want as long as you live in that already, right? And that works, you know. So what you're saying is that I probably should read that book or listen to it, I guess.
It's a good one.
Yeah. So just the last one I want to show you.
Oh yeah, you gotta share screen on this one. Where's your mouse? Boom. See, I don't know, man.
I never remembered him having a Silver Lake. So like, this is what I was like talking to my buddy yesterday, and then like we just kind of went like into this, and I was like, yeah, it's strange, right?
Yeah, doesn't make sense. Dude, what a fucking stud, man.
Who the publisher? Yeah, man. Just going, door to door, making people
happy.
Yeah. What a great, like, wouldn't that be awesome just to be able to like how Mr. Beast does, where he just like goes around and just like gives away money, but then also does like silly, like you can get as much money as you can count to, and people are like fucking a day or two in, and they're like, fuck this, I'm out of here after like 26,000. Yeah. Because some people are like, I could just keep going. At some point you're like, yo, I'm done. I
watched, I don't watch a lot of Mr. Beast stuff. But I watched this one where somebody, like, he was giving them a car or something, and they had to live in a house. And what's crazy about some of his videos is like, you gotta live in a house, and then it's like, and we're gonna reduce the house every day. Like, then he puts like all these stipulations in.
Yeah.
So like, by the end of this thing, like, the person had the house, and he had like cut the house in half. Like, did a concert.
Yeah, it sounds awesome. Yeah, I want to watch it.
And then by the end of it, the person just had like the bed and
awesome.
Like a porch, and they were there for like 40 something days or something.
That's amazing.
Like that.
Yeah. I mean, he was only going to get a car.
It was like a car or like 10 grand or something.
I see. It wouldn't be worth it to me, like 40 something days. Like, I got to watch it to see how many days this guy lasted.
Yeah,
it just all depends.
I don't know. Can we do a search on this?
Yeah, you can totally. I want to see it now. Yeah. Cause it, like, I want to say I would not be down for that, because like it has to be something good, like the kind of car, like, is it, because I've seen him give away some kind of really mediocre cars, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really down for like, Fiat or something. Like, I'm just thinking of a car I don't like. And
yeah. It was this one. It was
survive 100 days in a circle.
Yeah.
Win 500,000.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. See, so like something like that.
Yeah. It was this one. Yeah.
Like,
was it this one? It was something similar. Hold on. It was like,
so where do they bring them food, I wonder?
Yeah, they get food and stuff like that. It was similar to this one.
And they just got to go to the bathroom, like, wherever?
No, they had a bathroom. The one that I watched had a bathroom. I don't remember. I should have had this dialed in. We'll have this dialed in.
Did you see that one up there? It says, if you build your house, I'll pay for it. Yo, I could totally do it. 100%.
Oh, this is for gaming though. This is for his gaming channel.
Dumb. Not dumb, but yeah.
Yeah. What else you got? You were talking about like Iran and Iraq yesterday.
Yeah.
Or not Iran and Iraq.
No, yeah. Israel.
Yeah, Israel.
Yeah, and everything going on. And it's just so strange. Like, I just feel like, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what the next episode of this world is going to be like? It's such a weird thing, to see. Like, I was having a conversation with another friend of mine about that, and he was like, man, it's really awful. I was saying like, how, yeah, it's really awful what happened, and like just how horrific, and how like any big country could even be back, whether it's financially or with equipment or whatever, or just even condone what Hamas has done to Israel. And then, I had a buddy who was like, well, look what they have done. Israel just did to Hamas. And I'm like, I get it. And if you look at charts and stuff, it's been, this has gone back hundreds of years where there's just been this battle of that land, and then You have Gaza. That's that little strip. You know, it's like if you look at a map and you see the Mediterranean Sea, and you have Egypt, you have Gaza Strip, and then that's like where Hamas is. And then you have Israel, and then up north you got Lebanon. Well, now Lebanon's doing some stuff, you know, shooting some mortars from north, and then you got Israel just letting Gaza have it right now. Whether and they're you know, all of it's bad. Like it's just a lot of civilians, a lot of people are, you know, dying, and it's really, really sad, you know. And then you think about like, then you start reading more about like on 9/11 of this year, just so happened that like the news had us we just released $6 billion of tied up, you know, money for Iran, you know, from sanctions, and from their, you know, from oil, you know, money and all that, and we free it up, and it's supposed to be used in like a humanitarian way and all this stuff, and just for like food supplies and humanitarian stuff. And they literally immediately were like, nah, we're going to use that for whatever the fuck we want. Like, that's our money. You just literally had it sanctioned. So now we got our money. And then not saying they used it for that at all. Just saying it's kind of ironic, you know, within 30 days, this happens, you know, and they're not, you know, some articles are saying that Iran was, you know, like, they basically helped kind of plan this, but like, you can't, who knows what's true anymore, right? Like, you can't trust what media outlet do you trust, you know? Because some are saying you can't say that. Some are saying it happened. Some are saying they met, you know, last Monday and gave the final like green light to do it. Who knows, right? But I just think it's interesting, like now we're sending ships over there. You know, we have the most depleted, like for our weapons, we are like in the most depleted state America is, you know, because of this Ukraine war. And then we're having a government shutdown, and we're, you know, almost there. And then we're like, okay, no, let's just extend it out 45 more days. And then, you know, then Hamas happens to be using weapons that we left when we left Afghanistan, you know. And then I was listening to Joe Rogan yesterday, and he was saying, wouldn't it be crazy to like really think about like, what if we did that on purpose? He's like, wouldn't it be nuts? Like if you want to even go deeper and say that we were like, you know what, let's just leave all these weapons here, these billions of dollars of weapons, and exit Afghanistan, because we know they're going to end up using this stuff, because this is what we've been using against them, and you know, they hate us. So we'll leave it all here, and then they'll do something to fuck up, and then we're going to be able to come back and really let them have it. That's what Joe Rogan was saying yesterday. And I was like, man, it's another way to think about it, right? It's all this like, you know, and he's saying like they're playing the game of war. And it's just so interesting and sad for, you know, humans that are living over there.
The innocent peeps that are the bystanders, you know?
Yeah. And like, what's going to happen? Like, so we still, you know, we're trying to help Ukraine. We've basically committed ourselves saying, hey, we're going to keep giving more, you know, more things to that. And then you have us also in Taiwan, you know, helping Taiwan, you know, and China's right there like, yo, this is ours, that they're not separate, you know? And I don't necessarily think that like, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but China, it's like how they did with Hong Kong a few years ago. Like no one really remembers that, I don't think.
What happened there?
Well, in Hong Kong a few years ago, like China was like, you know, you're not your own country. Like, hey, like that's ours. And all they have to do is there's laws in place for them to be able to just take it back, you know? Like the US sees Taiwan, their current stance on Taiwan is that it's China's, right? But like we're there anyway. And it's really interesting, like what's going to happen if we started taking all of our resources to the Middle East. And then we're like, okay, now we're here in the Middle East, we're over here and you know, helping Zelensky out, and then now, and we're also in Taiwan. Like, say something happens that, you know, in that area, like how are we going to be so spread so thin? You know, it's just, there's a lot of just, man, what ifs, like what's going to happen, and it's all about like energy,
man,
and money.
Dude, it's funny, man. Not funny. This isn't funny by any means. But who knows what's going to happen? Who, like, there's so many things, right? We talked about it yesterday. You know, how does America typically stimulate an economy? Like through war, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of war, really just tangent. Like when you had come into the conference room, you were like, "What are you watching?" And I was watching World War II in color.
Yeah,
super cool because then you can see like their faces, not what happened or anything like that, but just like
it was basically just like clips of like you can just see everybody.
Really,
like,
really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
And that's another thing. I have no idea how they accomplished that if they didn't, or they just like I saw like what made me think of it is when it showed one of the soldiers like a clip of like it like panning a bunch of soldiers and it like stopped on one of them and he had like really white teeth and I'm like, how do they know that guy's teeth was that white, you know? Or is this just like an AI program that they're like, yo, create me color for World War II shots, and then like it just did it on its own.
Sure. I don't know, but it said, you know, before the thing started, exclusively repaired or whatever, the reimagined. I think that's what it is. Reimagined by special effects team, blah blah blah. So it could be, could not be, you know.
Right.
So I was listening to a speech of Trump, like I don't know, it was a clip. And they were talking about how they wanted to make the nukes, the nukes for, or the things that like shot missiles and the drones. They wanted to make those energy efficient. And Trump, it was like this blurt of like Trump, like, hey, they want to make the rocket or the jets that we shoot missiles and kill millions of people energy efficient. Like, how does that make sense? You know, like it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Like the existing administration wants to, you know, make tanks electric. Like it doesn't make sense. Like, you know, like you're not, you know, like if you're wanting to save the planet,
well,
electric tanks ain't going.
Right. Like, so, you know, just for context, I have an electric car and my wife does not. Right. So it's like, and I have an electric car just because I like it. You know, it wasn't anything other than that. And I don't like having to pay for gasoline. But, you know, I have heard a lot of good arguments to stay like, you know, California, for instance, they want to go all electric. But like on any given weekend in the summer, there's blackouts. So how are you going to accomplish that, right? And like, I don't know the answer to these things, right? Like the same thing with like the war stuff. I was just stating a bunch of like stuff that I like, a bunch of information, but like, nor do I have any like capacity like to that level of like, oh, this is how you solve it. Fuck that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I have zero clue on how I'm really curious to see where this goes because I have zero idea on how that war, you know, specifically that war and all the other wars and all the other conflict that are going on, how all this gets resolved without more war. Right. But like when you talk about that, right. You talk about Trump. I heard Trump saying, you know, I heard a video, a clip from one of his recent talks, and he was talking about how one of his recent speeches or whatever, and he was talking about trucks. You know, it's a really good idea to have these electric trucks, like these semis, right? But they're only going, I think it was 300 miles, something like that, or no, 1,000 miles. I don't know, something very, I'd have to look it up, but it was very little, right? Because it's so weighted down. I mean, remember these trucks, a lot of these trucks, they're able to go up to 80,000 pounds worth of material, right? Of whatever capacity, that's like the limit. And so you think about that and you're like, well, okay, if it only goes 300 miles, then some of these Peterbilts and these diesel trucks are going 2,000 miles on a full tank. So like how much slower is getting things going to be, right? Like how much slower is it going to be getting your shipments?
Yeah.
Like all that next day stuff is going to be for the birds. Like, you know, maybe then there's more of like an electric train scenario, or I don't know. I would love for anybody that's super, super like all about going electric everything. Like if you're really about that, then like, please explain to me how that works. And if it's with like solar panels and everybody has solar panels, great. But like also with solar panels, like I'm trying to get solar right now in my house and it's very expensive. How do you expect people above or under a certain pay scale to be able to afford those, right? Because it's not like it's cheaper, and by any means, it's not. You know, unless you pay for the panels up front.
Yeah, unless it's gas purchase for the panels.
Yeah. So okay, let's just say I purchase $50,000 panels and I purchase them, and I'm like, cool, I don't owe any money. Yeah, then it's cheaper monthly. But if I don't purchase those panels, and you're talking about, you know, the medium income in the United States right now, I believe is like, gosh, it's something super low. It's like
50 grand or something.
50 grand for 2 incomes. Yeah. So you're telling me that those people that are 2 income with kids, which I don't even know how they do just life in general with like something like that, because that has to be hard, you know, but how they're going to take a whole year salary without paying taxes or anything for both people, and they're going to be able to put those on their house to be energy efficient. Or do they just give them away? Yeah, okay, we'll give all those panels away. But where are all those panels coming from?
Yeah.
Coming from China. Yeah. They're the ones who are creating them, right? Like we do a lot of business there, you know, no matter what sanctions and what you want to say about what we're doing, like our relationship with them, we still do a lot of business with them, you know? And yeah, it's just a lot of information.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, cool. I think we're solid. I love this. I love bantering with you. It's cool catching up.
Yeah.
We'll like swing an intro on this, and if you guys like it, go ahead and like it. If you like something resonated, like comment. Other than that, like we'll be doing this every week, and we're going to be finding the flow, and we're just going to be talking about favorite finds on the World Wide Webs.
Yeah, like a lot of cool stuff, like conspiracies and things like that, because that seems to be huge right now. It's conspiracies. Yeah. I have friends that didn't believe in anything now are like, oh man, like you just said,
yeah,
I think we live in a simulation. Like I was like, bro, really? Like you really think we're the Sims? He's like, yeah, 100% believe that.
Yeah. Yep.
So
well, cool. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
All right.